Why am I so nervous to film this? As if it's like the biggest thing ever. It's literally a bullet journal, Mel. A bullet journal. Hello, greeting friends. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Melanie, and today I have my 2021 bullet journal setup plus my January spread flip through. In reality, I am not gonna be drawing anything today or setting up my journal. I am gonna be flipping through, however, everything that I have done so far. This is my first time journaling seriously, so I just want to put it out into the world, do something that will keep me accountable into actually pulling through for the rest of the year and keep journaling. I was very impatient because as soon as my bullet journal got here, I literally sat down, put on an audiobook, and I started sketching out and just putting everything on pen that I wanted on my journal. So again, today is basically gonna be my bullet journal setup, my reading journal setup. I have them combined because I don't know if I keep two different journals, if I'll keep up with the both of them. So I just decided to combine my reading journal with my bullet journal, where it just becomes my hub and I have everything in there. Don't fret though, because I got to my February spread I will be filming. I'm not even gonna lie, this journal is my baby, and I actually got it for a pretty good price too on Amazon. I think I paid $18 for this one in comparison to like $20, $40 ones. So I will be linking in the description as I show you everything, exactly what they are, where I got them, and all the relevant links if you want to get anything as well. And if I have something that I bought here in Panama, I will make sure to find the equivalent so that I can again link it in the description box. If you have yet to subscribe to my channel, don't forget to do so down below for more bookish content. I am constantly uploading videos that I am sure you do not want to miss. I'm gonna be incorporating journaling content now, which is super exciting. I am also live streaming throughout the week, doing my weekly reading sprints, and you can also follow me on my social medias, which are always linked down below. I have an Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and an Amazon wishlist. You know the drill. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. We're gonna have a lot today. All of the bullet journal materials. Call this bullet journaling for beginners, however you want to call it. I am definitely a beginner, but I am super excited for this, so let's get right into it. Alright friends, so these are all of the materials that I use for journaling. We have an array of pens, pencils, coloring pencils, and my journal itself. Now I did divide this by the pens that I use for lettering, my white pen and my pencil, coloring pencils, and then markers and colored pens. Now for my journal, I decided to go with one that was a little bit more inexpensive than the regular journals, because in comparison to the Archer and Olive, this was actually $18 instead of $40, so I really like it. And the first thing that I'm going to show you is just the pencil that I use. It is a mechanic pencil. I personally feel like this draws things a little bit more gently. It's easier to erase. The lines are not that harsh, so that is my personal tip for sketching stuff in. Next up, we have the classic white pen that you see everyone using when they're journaling. This is the Sakura Jelly Roll in the size 08. I do believe they have more sizes than this, and I actually want to get some more because the tip for this, it is kind of thick. So maybe if I can get a thinner one for detail work, that'd be incredible. Then we have all of the pens that I use for writing and doing line work, and I have a variety of brands here. I have some that I got here in Panama, some that I know you can get online, so let me show you all of them and walk you through them. So the first one we have is the Microline in the size 0.40 millimeters. I love this one for line work when I do my boxes, my circles, anything that requires a little bit of a thicker line but not overly thick. This is the pen that I use. Ink in this runs so smoothly, it's a dream. A similar one of that is the Staedtler Pigment liner in the size 0.8. Now I don't know how much thicker this is. To me, it does seem a little bit thicker when I draw my lines. I will say though, the ink in this one in particular doesn't run as smoothly. Onto the pens that I actually use for writing. The first one is the Staedtler Pigment liner in the size 0.05. This one is my favorite for writing. It's not too thin, but it gives you enough room to write smaller and to make a little bit more of a detailed line. And if I don't use that one, then I am using this one. This is the Ducati. This is 0.1. This is super thin. I don't know why the 0.1 is smaller than the 0.05, but I just go along with it. This one I use when I want to write really small, but otherwise I use the 0.05. Onto a classic, we have the Tombow Brush Pen. This is obviously in the shade black. Don't let the little picture fool you because it shows you like a full-on brush tip. This is definitely a brush pen, but it is kind of stiffer. So not only does it allow you to do calligraphy, and you can do that very nicely, but you can also do bold letters, which is what I typically do because I am still not that comfortable with my calligraphy, but you can do both with this particular pen. You'll notice in my journal, I use a lot of coloring pencils instead of markers, and I use the Big Evolution. You can definitely use whatever coloring pencils you have at home. For colored pens, I use two brands. The first is Staedtler, and this is the Triplus Fine Liner. I really wouldn't be able to tell you what size this is, but the colors are super vibrant, and I can actually manage a pretty small lettering too with this one. The other brand I use is Stabilo. This is a 0.4 tip, and I found, at least with the set that I bought, that it has a lot more color, so you have a wider variety of shades to use. And then for markers, I am also using the Stabilo ones. I only have the primary set for this one, but the ink is super nice. It does not bleed on my particular paper for my bullet journal. Okay, onto the nitty gritty. We have the actual journal. I have this in a dark blue shade. I thought it looked very sleek and elegant, and this was actually $18 on Amazon, which is considerably less expensive than the usual journals that you could get from Archer and Olive or other big brands. So I will make sure to leave it linked down below. Has a constellation on the front. I had no idea which constellation it was. It's actually Aquarius. I am definitely not an Aquarius, but it still looked cute. And then it also has a pen holder if you make use of it. So the first spread I made was actually my grid cheat sheet. This took me such a long time to figure out. I'd say this was definitely one that I found pretty difficult as a beginner. However, it is super useful because you count out the amount of dots that you have both horizontally and vertically, so that way when you make a spread, you know exactly where to put each square and you count it out perfectly, and every square is the same size. For my 2021 cover page, I decided to keep it pretty simple. I used a lot of yellow. I used yellow for my frame. I also used yellow washi tape. I made some stars and little circles just to decorate the corners, and I also colored in the 2021 with yellow, crossed it out with yellow, and I thought it was really pretty. I later found out that yellow is the Pantone color of the year. Actually, I had no idea. And then I used one of my favorite quotes actually from Akuma because I'm trash, and I used half of the quote. Actually, it is to the dreams that are answered. The full quote is actually to the stars that listen and the dreams that are answered, and I just decided to use the later half because that is the energy that I want to bring into this year. All the dreams will be answered if we work hard enough for them. So for the first big spread of my journal, I actually have my future log. This is essentially every month of the year detailed with a little calendar. That way I can put in the big events that happen every single month. This is where the grid spacing really came in because I needed the same amount of space for each month. So it worked out perfectly with the spacing that I actually detailed on that first spread. I added some washi tape, but that was really just an afterthought. I was not planning on doing that at first. And then I love the way that the squares turned out with the little shadow on the right side. That was super cute. I did some bold letters for the titles of every month. Then we have part 2 of the future log. This is the later 6 months of the year. And if you see what I did here, I did a little reverse thing with the colors. So from January to June, it starts with pink and it ends with yellow. And then I reverse the colors for the second half where it starts with yellow and ends with pink, just to have a little color progression there that looks very nice. Going into the actual reading journal content of my bullet journal, we first have the books I read in 2021 and my series TBR. Now the books I read in 2021 is basically the standard library that everyone does. I did some floating shelves. I did a little frame on top of that with just my black pen. I did a little banner at the top like ribbon style, put some washi tape, and the point of this is just to fill out every single book I read depending on the key. Pink is physical, green is ebook, purple is audio, and then yellow is an ARC. This is just for me to keep track exactly what method I am using for my reading. My goal for the year is 75. However, I had a lot more space, so I ended up drawing 115 books. If I actually get to the 115, that'd be awesome. I've never read 115 books in a year, but if I do, I won't complain. Then we have my series TBR, and this is again just to keep track of all the series that I want to start and finish in 2022. 2021. Now, I do realize after drawing this spread, I probably should have made this completely separate because I probably don't have enough space for all the series I want to start and all the series I want to finish. However, I wrote down 8 series that I want to start this year, and I did little squares to indicate how many books there are in the series so I can just fill those out as I read them. And then I have the series I want to finish in 2021. Same method, I only wrote down 3. The next one we have is actually my goals for 2021. Now, I will most likely be blurring a lot of this page because they are either very personal or work related that I can't really talk about. So I did divide this in 3 main aspects: work, life, and health. And I just wrote down light it up because, again, it's one of my favorite quotes. It makes me feel very happy. For my January spread, I decided to go with a very moon, stars, clouds theme, very like sky-esque. I did the same yellow frame, did some yellow washi tape. Probably not the best accent color for this theme. I realize that now, but I was so into the yellow vibe that I just did it with that same color. I drew a crescent moon, I drew some little stars, a cloud, and I actually love the way that the drawing came out. I just don't think the accent color is the best for this one. We have a very traditional spread for bullet journaling, and that is the month spread. We have the entire calendar divided by day. I always start my week with Monday, so I decided to make Monday the first day instead of Sunday. The first thing that I wrote down in there was hitting 10K. It's such a big milestone, and it is all thanks to you guys. Like, I owe all of that to you. You guys are just incredible. Again, we have a quote from Miss Mass because I'm trash, and this is the 3rd time I've said it. It's from Throne of Glass, and it is let's go rattle the stars, drew a little cloud, and then I had some goals and tasks up there as well for me to do throughout the month. The next spread is completely inspired by Chloe. Here on BookTube, she is Books with Chloe, but she also has a journaling channel and Instagram called Journal with Chloe. And this is the spread where I write down all of the books that I have read in this month. Added some yellow washi tape, the yellow frame, you know, keeping the theme very cohesive. Now, I did use some blackout paper for this one because I did not like the way the title came out. So I just covered that up, wrote with some white pen, books read, some stars, some dots just to decorate, and then put some yellow washi tape on top just to make sure that it's pasted in there. And I do realize now I drew the books with the rating, the title, the author. It's probably not the best way to do it because I will most likely be reading more than 10 books this month and I don't have enough space for it. So I will most likely keep the theme of drawing the book for that first page and then switch it on the second just so that I have enough space to write everything down. Another spread inspired by Chloe was actually the days read throughout the month. I have seen her divide this between physical and audio, so I decided to do the same thing. As you know, I am not big on audios, but I do want to branch out this year and listen to a ton more just so that I can diversify the format in which I am reading. So for this one, I drew little squares and I put in the date of the month so that I can fill that in. If on the 1st I listened to an audio, I would fill it in. If on the 5th I read physical, I would fill that in. And obviously this doesn't have a space for ebooks or art, so I will be using the physical side for that. I used some blackout paper for the titles, put some washi tape on top just to make sure that it's really pasted in. Again, yellow frame, decorative yellow washi tape, big bold letters for the title, and that came out pretty cute. It's probably one of my favorite spreads. Another traditional Bujo spread is the habit tracker. Now I narrowed it down to the things that I really want to track this month, which is working out at least 3 times a week, eating clean most of the week, sleeping at least 8 hours a day, and then creating content at least most days. And I did the same thing with the title with the blackout paper and the white pen, and then the yellow washi tape the same way that I did with my days read. As you can see, I really like the way that those turned out, and the point of this is just to bubble in each day of the week that I completed the task that I set out for myself. Right next to that, I have my content ideas spread. This is just essentially kind of like a brain dump where I can just write down all of the ideas that I have for content throughout the month. I drew a little square that I can fill in when that video has been done, and then cross out when the video is actually filmed, edited, and uploaded. And I put in some washi tape in the corners just to decorate and to make it seem like an actual list. Did the yellow frame as well, and then just the bold lettering title. And these video ideas are literally no secret. I am always very open with the videos that are to come, so I am not even afraid of showing you guys. For the first week of January, what I did was divide each page into 4 different squares, and then the 8th one I just used for things to keep in mind for the next week. I did the same yellow frame as I have done before, and then I did a yellow shadowing on the left side instead of the right and instead of black. Then I did a little black square where I filled it in with yellow and wrote down the day of the week, and I just did the same thing with the little square for the list where I can cross out when that thing has been accomplished. Each weekly spread is obviously different, so for this one, instead of the vertical rectangle, I decided to do it horizontally. Heavily inspired by Amanda Rach Lee on this one, I put in the little quote that I saw on one of her posts, which is "Be the highlight of someone's day." And the only thing that really changed on this one was the type of lettering that I used for the title. I did the title where I put a little line on every corner of the letter, and I actually love the way that it came out. It's definitely one of my favorites, except that my calligraphy is definitely not the best for the word highlight, but I did it. I went back to the vertical rectangles for this one. I did the shadow on the right hand side. I did some big numbers for this one, and I drew a star in the middle because I had totally forgotten my theme at this point. I was just like, okay, let me incorporate some stars for this one. And then at the bottom, just don't even look at it because that was a mistake. I drew something in the bottom that I definitely did not like, so I blacked it out with black pen, wrote down weekly log with my white pen, put some washi tape to cover it up, and ignorance is bliss with that bottom side. Now, a huge shout out to Jack, who actually gave me this quote from These Violent Delights. It says, "The stars incline us, they do not bind us." That fit perfectly with my theme of the month, and I actually obviously wanted to include another bookish quote. So another one of my favorite books are in my weekly spreads, and I absolutely love it. Now, for my last week of January, I have another spread that is inspired by Amanda Rach Lee. We have an overview of the week on the left-hand side, all the way from Monday to Sunday, just that I can write down some significant dates. I thought it would be cute to include that. And then I have the January with the dates at the top of that. So from the 25th all the way to the 31st. And then I just have little squares for each day of the week. I decided to again do the big bold letters because again, calligraphy is not my strong suit, but I did decide to include a quote in here just to make it even cuter. And this is from Throne of Glass. One of you gave me this quote actually in a live stream, and it says, "Only you decide what breaks you." And I thought at this point in the month that quote was very, very fitting because for the last week I just want to push through, close it with the best energy ever, and that is just a little something to remind myself of that. Then we have my wrap up portion for the month, and I divided this into 3 parts. First is the favorite quotes, some of the favorite quotes that I read throughout the month. Then I have my favorite book so that I can write that down, and I thought it would be fun to include some stats as well, which I have never done before. So the amount of books read and then the amount of pages read, which I have never kept track of before. And then for the last spread that I have actually done is a spread that I realized probably should have been at the beginning of my bullet journal, but I completely forgot. So now it is in between January and February, and I realized too late that I actually had divided this into 4 instead of 6, so it ended up being a 3-page spread. Did another frame, this time with green, did the cross out in green as well, the little shadow at the right hand side just to add a little bit of dimension. And I just wrote down all of the books that I am anticipating coming out that month. I actually didn't even write down the dates for when the books come out, but again, this is all a learning process for me, and I have nothing written down from September to December just because right now it is a little bit harder to find books that come out during that time that I am interested in. So I'll wait a little bit longer to see exactly what comes out during those dates. But yeah, those are my last few spreads, and you better be on the lookout for when I put up my February setup because that one I'll actually be drawing with all of you. Alright, you guys, and that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed me showing you my setup for now for my bullet journal and my January spreads. Again, I feel like in comparison to other bullet journalers, that is not a word, but to other people that journal out there, mine is definitely not as creative. Mine is not out of the box, and I cannot wait to see where my journal goes after this because I definitely think that this is one of those things that as you start progressing, as you keep journaling, it'll only allow you to be more creative, to think even more outside of the box. I'm just excited to finally keep track of everything in one single place. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and comment down below what your favorite spread was, or if you were personally doing a bullet journal, tell me what spreads you incorporate on your journal that I did not incorporate in mine, because the way that I am still like so overwhelmed with the amount of spreads out there, I feel like I excluded so many important ones from my journal that I know I can definitely include and keep a track of. So definitely let me know all of that down below. And if you reach the end of the video, make sure to leave the hand holding the pen. I feel like it's very fitting for the journaling content. So leave some of those emojis down below and subscribe down below for more bookish content. Again, constantly uploading videos that I'm sure you do not want to miss. Also live streaming throughout the week, doing my weekly reading sprints. And you can also follow me on all of my social medias, which are always linked down below. I have an Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and an Amazon wishlist. I always say it, you know the drill. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye guys.